Hello? Chat, can you hear me? 1 2 1 2. Okay, amazing. Perfect. we got it fucking working. Finally. All right. So, as you can see, here I did a little shitty screenshot and like I modified it of my Unity hub just so that it looks as close as possible to like what you guys' Unity hub should look like, assuming you've all downloaded it and what do you call? Yeah, you've like installed Unity, you have a Unity account and everything, right? So uh, regarding that, okay, perfect. Did you guys make a Unity account and did you download the Unity hub? Yes, no, maybe. Hold on. This is what mine looks like. Okay, perfect. All right. So hold on. So engage with the audience, start a poll. Um, Select Unity. Okay. Okay. So what I need to ask you guys is, so you have Unity, you have created a Unity account. Now you have, as you can see on the screen, like the Unity hub or whatever. Hold on, this is mine because you have like the projects, the installs, learn, community, etc., etc. Um, did you install any of the versions, any of the editors? Hold on, let me see if I can stream settings, latency. It's not letting me. Ultra low latency. Oh well. All right. You guys are probably going to be like a couple seconds late. So I'm going to wait for you guys to hopefully answer in the chat. Okay. Only have Unity 6. Okay, perfect. All right. So for those of you who haven't, like here, as you can see, like I have a shit ton of different like versions of Unity. I have 5 different versions of 2019, 2 versions of 2020, 2 versions of 2021, 2 versions of 2022, and 1 version of Unity 6, which is 6000 here. Didn't think about the versions. Okay, no worries, Russian. So this is fine. We're gonna go through it like one by one. So as I said, like in today's stream, I'm gonna show you guys the absolute basics, right? Which is like, you create a Unity account, you download Unity. Here's how you download a specific version of the editor. What even is a version of the editor? What else? Like how do I get the editor working? What do I need to get the editor working, etc., etc. We're going to go step by step. I'm not sure exactly where we're going to stop, but ideally I'd like to have that by the end of the stream you guys know how to install Unity, how to open Unity, and how to start doing like the absolute basics, right? the absolute basics. I'm just gonna take notes for the time being. Haven't gotten Unity 6. Yeah, no worries. So honestly, like streams like these where I'm showing you guys stuff, it's honestly better if you don't do it at the same time as I do, because like the stream is gonna be recorded. You can always watch the VOD, and it's more so like you can watch me do stuff and ask me questions like on the fly, so that you know, like I can answer your questions. Because me personally, when I was learning Unity on my own, right, every time I would watch like a tutorial, the tutorial would be like 10, 15, 20 minutes, whatever, and fucking 3 minutes in, I'm like, wait, how did we get from point A to point B? I feel like there's a step that was skipped or something, right? Because those are like edited videos, they're not live streams or anything, so you don't really see the person do every single step one by one. And so very quickly, like I lost track of the tutorial, right? And so this is why like I'm doing these as live streams, so that way like you guys can ask me questions on the fly of like, wait, what the fuck does that mean? Wait, like what if I do something different or whatever, right? So there you go. So here I have Unity 6, which is as I said, as it says like here 6,000 blah blah blah. Here it shows like where it is on your computer. This thing LTS stands for long-term support. So here you have all installs. Here you have official releases, which are, and again, these are the installs on my computer. So these aren't all of the installs available, right? These are just the installs on my computer. And here it says pre-release install editor. So if I click here, it's gonna show me whatever. But I don't touch pre-releases because fuck that. Like I'm not here to fuck around with like an unfinished version of the Unity editor. That's just retarded, you know? So so let's say, as I said, like I did the little paint thing. Let's pretend like you have nothing on your editor, whatever. Here it says projects, but it's the same thing with installs. Let's pretend you have nothing. It should look like something like this, right? So you can either click here, install editor, or up here. In my case, since I have a bunch of stuff already, I can click install editor, and here it shows like the different versions, right? So as I said here, I have 6,000.0.24 F1. That's the version I installed, which I installed it towards the end of October. And here, as you can see, it's 6,000.0.46 F1, right? And it says like recommended version. The thing is that typically when you're working on a game, or even if you're just practicing or whatever, a good rule of thumb is, let's say I start my project in Unity 2022.3.7 F1, right? It's a bad idea for me halfway through to like skip, to like basically upgrade this into, let's say, Unity 6, right? Or to go from Unity 2021.3 point whatever to Unity 2022.3 point blah blah blah, right? It's a bad idea because each of these versions, like yes, they're Unity, right? But like in the backend, like the code that you don't see, like maybe the editor, when you open the Unity editor, maybe it's gonna look the same. So hold on, let me show you. So let's say Google Unity editor 2021 images. Okay, so let's say, hold on, fuck, why are they always so tiny? Okay, this should be good, bruh. Okay, there you go. So let's say you open Unity 2021, right? This is what the editor is gonna look like. This scene is pretty much empty. And I'm gonna explain to you guys like what the inspector is, what the hierarchy, what everything is, but that's a bit later. So let's say you open this here is what it looks like, right? Now let's type Unity 2022. Is that a good one? Oh, fuck's sake. Oh my god. Okay, I just need, yeah, editor layout. Oh my god, you fucking, okay, there you go. So you see here and here, I mean, it's pretty much the same thing, right? It looks very similar. It's not identical, obviously, but it looks very similar, right? But the thing is that in the backend, the code is actually like different. Whether a lot different or a little different, I'm not sure. That's up to Unity, right? Like, I'm not an expert on that. But the idea is that, like, let's say I'm making a game in Unity 2021, and then like I'm working on it. I'm very like far into the development or whatever, and then they release Unity 2022, and I'm like, oh shit, like they have a feature in Unity 2022 that might be really useful for the game I'm making, right? Well, then you can have the option of like taking your project that's for Unity 2021 and like upgrading it or updating it rather, so that it now works with Unity 2022. The problem with that, especially if you're like very advanced in your project, is that it can break shit, right? Because when your project was made in Unity 2021, because the project is created with a specific version of Unity, what ends up happening is that it's like all of the source code, all of the like deep code, like I don't know if source code is the right term, but all of the core code that makes up your entire project is based on 2021, right? So when you upgrade to 2022, some of the shit might not actually get translated properly. So now all of a sudden, you open your project in 2022 and some of your shit isn't working anymore, right? And it can be anything. It can be stuff that's like really, really deep in the code that you don't even understand what the fuck it does. Or it can be stuff that's like your shaders stop working. So now all of a sudden, your 3D models look like, hold on, let me see. 3D. Let me show you images of, yeah, there you go. This is what like a broken shader would look like. Here, not so much. But yeah, like as you can see, it's like it's not supposed to look like that, right? With this stuff, yeah, sounds like a nightmare. Exactly, right? So for me, for instance, when I was doing my my game, yeah, okay, see here it's closed. Basically, I have like a shit ton of different what do you call them? Like, hold on, let me see if I can. Yeah, okay. So hold on. Let me just adjust this. There you go. Okay, there you go. So now if we zoom in, there you go. So if you can see here, right, I have like, I've just hidden the names. Again, like I'm not paranoid about anything or whatever. I just don't want people to see the name of my game before I have a Steam page up, right? That's the only thing. Because if people see the name of my game and they Google it, all they're gonna find is like a bunch of random shit that has nothing to do with my game, right? So I want to wait until I have like a Steam store page set up, and then like I'll be more than happy to reveal the name of my game and whatever the fuck, right? So as you can see here it says like the last time it was opened basically, or modified. And here it shows like the version. Hold on, let me just. Okay, perfect. All right. So, so basically, here you have the different versions, right? Like Unity 2021.3.6, Unity 2021.3.30, etc., right? And the way, the thing is that it's not a good idea to like, let's say here I have my game, like blah blah blah, right? Hold on, like game project 1, let's see, right? So here I have like game project 1 here. Is someone texting me? Oh, hold on, my mom is texting me. Okay, perfect, hold on. All right, there we go. OBS Studio can access. Okay, perfect. All right, so everything's good regarding that. Okay, sorry for the interruption. I just had to reply to one of my mom's texts because someone in my building was parking in my parking spot, which I've paid for. So my mom like found out who it was and told him like to stop doing it. So anyways, so as I was saying, here you have like a Unity 2021.3.30, Unity 2021.3.6. I can technically upgrade from this version. Jesus Christ, that's bad. From this version, or like from this version here. Yeah, from this version to this one. And it shouldn't create too many problems, right? Because as you remember, hold on, yeah, here, when it says LTS, that means long-term support, which means that they're gonna have like the different versions, right? Like the, let's say 2021.3.6, 0.3.7, 0.3.8, etc., right? Until they finally stop working on the Unity 2021 and then move to Unity 2022, etc., right? So the idea is you can, like, if you feel like it, like upgrade from 2021.3.6 to 2021.3.30. But even then, it might break shit. It's just less likely, but it might still break shit, right? So once again, you're kind of playing with fire, right? So that's why, for instance, for me, as you can see, hold on, not this. As you can see, I have like Unity 6000.0.24. And if I were to click install editor, the one it recommends me is 0.0.46, right? Because from the month of late October / early November, when I started, like when I installed this version of Unity, right? Up to now, they've had like that many updates, right? Like, I guess 22 updates or whatever, right? But me personally, I'm gonna probably stick with this version for my game just because that's what's. I'm still talking about upgrading versions. Yeah. So basically, as I was saying, it's like me personally, just to be safe, I'm gonna stay with this. And so what I ended up doing, as you can see here, it's like instead of upgrading from like, let's say from 2021.3.6 to 0.3.30 to 2022.3.13 to 2022 point whatever, right? Instead of doing that, what I would do is, hold on, is basically create a new project. So let's say this is Battle Girls 2021. I don't know what the fuck that is, but this is like a project in Unity 2021. And I want to transition to 2022 because 2022 just came out with like a really new cool feature that I'm really interested in using for my game, right? And I'm like, shit, like this would make a big difference for my game, for instance. Well, instead of upgrading, right? Instead of like, as I said here, like upgrading from 20, hold on, from 2021 to 2022, for instance, right? What I do is I just create a brand new project, right? Like I go to projects, create new project, and afterwards what do you call it? I start copy pasting like the different stuff, right? So here you can see in the files you have like build system dependencies, shaders, terrain, art, asset store, dissonance, whatever that is, editor, etc., etc., etc. Well, I just like go into my script folder and I copy paste all of my scripts because the scripts themselves don't like they're not a problem, right? And if they are a problem, it's gonna tell you if they're a problem or not, right? So that's why like just transferring scripts from point A to point B, right? From like project 1 to project 2 is not an issue. It's more of the like, hold on. It's like this stuff over here, right? Hold on. Let me just copy paint. It's like this stuff over here, right? Or like all the like built-in systems, or like the where were they, the shaders. The shaders are usually something that really fucks up. The shaders are like fucking annoying. They fuck up a lot. The dependencies as well, they might break. So that's why you're like, don't play with fire, don't risk it, just start a new project and like import everything. And if you're used to your code, if you've worked on your project for a while, and you kind of know where everything's supposed to go, and you only transition from, let's say, version like 2021, right, to 2022 for like a specific thing, well then in that case you already know where everything's supposed to go. So like it's typically gonna take you like a day or two to like transition everything for everything to work out, right? As if you were troubleshooting with the update. Exactly. Like you just don't want to be stuck troubleshooting with the update, right? It's just a waste of time. It's frustrating, and at the end of the day, it's not that important. But at the same time, I'm saying this as a solo developer who's doing everything myself and who purposefully, like, I build prototypes and like I test out the prototypes to make sure they're fun. And once I'm satisfied with the prototype, that's when I start going all in and like actually like implementing the visuals and doing all of the more artistic stuff. Because if you don't know if your game is fun or not because you haven't tested it, there's no point in making the visuals, right? And a lot of people make this mistake of starting to make the visuals in advance, right, before having finished their core gameplay. And so by the time they finish their core gameplay, some of the things in their core gameplay aren't like, they're not fun properly. They're not like something's missing, right? Like the core gameplay feels incomplete, but because they've already invested resources into like some of the visuals or some of the other stuff like that, they're like stuck, right? And a lot of people don't want to go back and like, you like, let's say, not use some of the visuals they've done, and so they like lock themselves in a specific vision of their game. And that's why a lot of games feel like they're missing stuff, right? Like the gameplay is missing a little spark, right? It's missing soul, it's missing whatever it is, right? So the way I do things is we prototype first. We make sure the prototype is really fun. So when I say prototype, it's like what you saw like last time, right? It's like a bunch of cubes and like very basic stuff, right? Like very, very basic visuals that you can set up in like a day or two, right? And like that's it, right? And now that like for my game, I know for a fact that I'm going to be using Unity 6 for the release of my game. Well, now I can start implementing like real visuals, right? Like more proper stuff, basically. So anyways, so I know this was very long. I'm sorry if it was boring, but these are like the really important, this is the really important stuff that like it's the core fundamentals, right? Because the last thing you want is for your game to like stop working and you don't know why, right? Because you were reckless and like you went from one version to the next, right? So hold on, not this. All right, you gotta fight the TISM. Yeah, exactly. All right, so here in Unity, okay, Unity 6, blah blah blah. So now I'm gonna install the recommended version of Unity 6, the 0.0.46, just to show you guys how it happens. And so basically my game is going to be made using Unity 0.0.24, but all of the examples and like the projects I'm going to be showing you guys in the dev streams are going to be done using 0.0.46. Okay, don't worry about it. It's good to know all this. Okay, perfect. All right, so now I'm going to click install. Okay, and now this is very important, right? In my case, I already have Microsoft Visual Studio Community 2022 installed. But for you guys, you probably won't have it installed. So click on this to make sure it's installed, right? And then, hold on, let me see. Platforms, we're not going to be making it for Android. We're not making it for iOS, not Linux, none of that. Languages, we're not doing Korean, we're not doing Japanese, we're not doing Chinese or anything. Documentation, honestly, you don't need it. So don't click on any of these things, but do click to install Microsoft Studio 2022, right? Okay, so here, let's say install. So now it's going to start installing. I'm quickly going to go to the bathroom while it's downloading. I'll be right back in like 30 seconds. Oh, all right. Okay, hold on. Is it okay? It's showing everything. You guys are seeing the progress bar and whatnot. Okay, red herring. That's very important. What you just said. Okay, if you guys look here at the bottom, these two purple icons I have right next to my Unity thing. Hold on, I'm gonna use my screenshot from here. So here is Unity Hub, and here are my Visual Studio logos or icons, right? This one here is 2017, and this one here is 2022. Okay, so this, oh fuck, this one here is the one I was using for a while, and this one here is the one I'm using right now. Now the reason why they recommend using Visual Studio 2022 is because it's specifically designed to work with Unity 6, right? Because Unity 6 was supposed to be Unity 2023, but they like really upgraded it and really added a bunch of stuff that's like really useful, and that's why I decided in October, like my game was almost finished in October of 2024. But when I saw all of the extra features they had added in Unity 6, I realized a lot of those features I could really use for my game. And so, as I said, like I basically created a new project in Unity 6 and started doing everything, right? From scratch. And the idea is that Visual Studio Community 2022 is done using, what do you call it? It's specifically done to work with Unity 6. And one of the things it's using is a type of like very basic AI that helps finish your lines of code, which is I'd say it's fairly useful. Hold on. Edit your application styling. Okay, perfect. So it's very useful, especially if you're a beginner. And it doesn't really make that many mistakes, as far as I know, right? Sometimes it's gonna like autocorrect stuff that it's not supposed to, but that's the point of these streams and these classes, is for you guys to understand what you're coding, so that when Visual Studio like autocorrects something or auto completes a line of code, you can know whether or not it's doing the right thing or it's not doing the right thing, right? But again, all of this is going to become much clearer for you guys once we start getting into the nitty gritty of everything. All right. So now we're just waiting for this thing to finish installing. I don't know how long it's going to take. Hopefully not too long. But we'll see. Your application installing. But yeah, do you guys have any questions, any comments, anything like that while we wait for things for this to install? So I guess you guys don't have any questions since no one's fucking typing in chat. Hold on. Selection, select the correct workloads. Game development with Unity. Oh, yeah. Yeah, this, okay, perfect. It's done. Amazing. Okay. So this is another thing. Hold on. Let's say install version, whatever. Let's say install this. Here, when like it showed Visual Studio, whatever, it typically it comes with stuff like .NET or whatever. I don't remember, but I think selecting .NET might be helpful for broader C# support, but I'm not sure, right? So at that point, it's like up to you guys. Yeah, exactly. So Visual Studio 2022 is, yeah, that's the one we want, because it's the one that works best with Unity 6, right? So now when it comes to projects, hold on, I'm just gonna change this. All right. So let me just pull out okay, there you go, just like that over here. Okay, so now we'll have questions next time. I'm just learning from, yeah, no worries. As I said, like the goal here is to, for you guys, the moment you guys have any questions, you can just ask them. If you don't have any questions, perfect, I guess. But yeah, so now like we go back, like we were in the installs, right? We were right here, right? Now we go back to the project tab or whatever it's called. And here we're not gonna click add, because if you click add, what it's gonna do is that it's gonna open this thing. Oh, hold on. It's gonna open this, right? And it's gonna ask you to select a project that already exists, right? What we want to do is create a new project right here, right? So hold on. So now, as I said, like I'm just gonna click on this and then show you what it looks like. Hold on. So new project. All right. Jesus Christ. There you go. Okay. So when you click new project, when Randy speaks, we listen. That's right, boy. All right. So this is what it's gonna look like, right? And here you can select which version of Unity you want to use, right? As I was saying, for my game I'm making right now, I'm using Unity 6.0.24, but now it has selected the 0.0.46. All right, hold on. Okay, so here you have a bunch of different like presets that you can use. Here you also have samples and learning, but we're not gonna touch that, okay? We're gonna stay in core and we're gonna select high definition 3D, okay? Or wait, do we not have HDRP? Hold on, SRP, wait, how come we don't have HDRP? Okay, unless this is, hold on, I'm just gonna confirm, give me a second, I just wanna make sure. Okay, hold on, new project in Unity, I want Yep, you're exactly right. When you're creating a new project in Unity, HDRP, you should select high definition. Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, here's what each template means. 3D built in. Okay. That's what I thought. Okay, perfect. So here we have like the different templates, right? And now, hold on, let me open back up the Unity store. Why is my internet so slow? All right. Cynthia is a good example of these. So let's say, I don't know, Polygon Apocalypse. All right. Oh, all right. This here. Does it show? Oh, no, right, because this isn't. Okay, no. This is a bad example. Okay, hold on. Let's go VFX. VFX, and let's say shop all in one 3D shader. Okay, I have no idea what this is, but let's take it as an example. Hopefully it's going to be a good example of what we're looking for. Lighting, color. All right, whatever. Okay, perfect. Okay, so as you guys can see here, hold on, I'm just gonna take I'm gonna take a screenshot of this, copy, and then paint. Okay, so as you can see here, you have Unity version. So which version is best for the asset. And then here you have built-in URP and HDRP, okay? What these three things mean, it's basically the built-in renderer, right? Or not the built-in renderer, but what type of renderer you're gonna use. So this is the built-in renderer here, right? Here's the built-in. Silver Sterling, I hope this isn't overwhelming, right? Then you have the universal render pipeline. That's what URP stands for. Universal, so built-in render pipeline, universal render pipeline, and the high definition render pipeline. Now, me personally, I make all of my games and all of my projects using HDRP, just because HDRP is the one that allows you to make like the coolest shaders, and you can use VFX graphs in it and a bunch of other stuff like that, which we're gonna see much later on. But all you need to know is it's really cool stuff. So hold on. So let's go Unity HDRP VFX graph.
Hey y'all. So today we're
no, not this. Do they have like a showcase or?
Hi everyone, Aryan here at Game.
Okay, hold on. Unity VFX graph. Yeah, I think this thing here. Yeah. So it's what allows you to create cool stuff like that, right? So hold on. Yeah, he's gonna yeah. So we're like, I'm gonna show you guys like the absolute basics of how to use this. Not now, but like eventually, like weeks from now, I'm gonna show you guys how to use stuff like that to create like cool particle effects like these, right? Hold on. Yeah, like stuff like that, basically. All right, so to go back to what we were doing. So here you have universal 2D, universal 3D. That's kind of like with the built-in, well, the universal render pipeline, etc., etc. I'm using high definition render pipeline, right here. So when you create a new project, as I was saying here, you click new project. It's going to bring you to this window. Here up top at the center, you select which version of Unity you want to use. And then you select like what you want, right? And now here, high definition 3D. This is for a single player game. If you want multiplayer, I guess you can use this, but like for now, I'm not touching multiplayer. So I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I don't even know how to do multiplayer for now. So like, this is just so you know. So now here, project name. Let's say game dev tutorials, right? Location, this is just which folder you want it in. Me, it's in my Unity folder where all of my other projects are. Here, Unity organization, it's basically like your account. Like this is my corporate account, so this is what it's using. If you guys, as I was saying, hold on. Unity, there you go. When you click here to sign in, or no, rather to create a Unity ID, whatever ID you're using, this is what's going to be shown here in the Unity organization, right? So even if you're like a hobbyist or like a normal person, it's your like personal email, that's typically what should be shown here. Now here you have like connect to Unity Cloud. Here it says connecting to the Unity Cloud lets you set up gaming services for a project. You can manage access and other project and other settings for the new cloud project on the project section, blah, blah, blah. What this means basically is, hold on, let's go back here, Unity. oh my god, not this. Hold on. Unity. Here, when you sign in, you're gonna see like a dashboard and a bunch of stuff, but honestly, that's really not that important. I'm gonna leave mine checked in just in case, but honestly, like you can leave it unchecked or checked, it doesn't matter. Now, Unity version control, what this is you can join a service that's free initially, but like very quickly it becomes like a paying service, right? So that's why I'm not using Unity version control, but in all honesty, if you have cash to spare, it's not that expensive. I just hate spending money. I'm gonna be really honest. That's why my parents call me a toucan. But basically, Unity version control is very useful. It's something that allows you to always revert back to previous versions of your game. So let's say, hold on, let me open Paint again. Let's say you have version 1, right? Oops. Version 1. And then you make a bunch of changes. So you have like version 1.01. Then you make a bunch of more changes. Version 1.02. That's an ugly 2. Then you go to like version 1.03. Then etc. Right? So basically, but by the way, like did something happen? Is the stream broken? Why are people saying, oh boy, oh no? But yeah, as I was saying, let's say you've made all of these like different changes, right? Well, let's say that in the changes you made from version, let's say 1.0.2 to 1.0.3, if whatever changes you made broke your game, basically, toucan moment, yeah. But yeah, so basically, if the changes you made from version 1.02 to 1.03 like broke your game or something really broke, well, what version control allows you to do is have a list of like at this date, right? Like date XX, whatever. Person Y did, oh fuck, hold on. Person Y did whatever changes, right? Like Z changes, whatever, right? So that way, like this is mainly useful, like again, version control is mainly useful once you're making like a serious project and once you're working with other people, because then you can see, okay, who did what, right? Who in version 1.02 did what to break version 1.03, right? And so that way you can revert to whatever version you had where like those changes like weren't there, right? So it's really, really, really useful if like you break your game and now you're like, oh my god, fuck, like my game is broken, I don't know how to fix it, I don't know what the fucking problem is, like fuck my life. Well, you can just go back here, right? Will you ever try to do an open world game? Probably the next big project I have planned after the game I'm currently making is gonna be something, it's not gonna be truly open world, but it's gonna be something like God of War 2018 meets Sekiro meets Breath of the Wild, kind of, but not as open world as Breath of the Wild. And sci-fi. That's gonna be the plan, but for now I want to focus on finishing the game I'm currently making. And even the game I'm currently making is going to have some kind of open world-esque mechanics, but it's to call it open world mechanics, like I'm exaggerating. It's more open world inspired mechanics. It's also going to have roguelike inspired mechanics. But anyways, so back to what I was saying, version control is very useful for teamwork and to go back to, you know, whatever. Yeah, learn more about Unity version control. Yeah. So here, connected solutions for building games, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I need to sign in, but whatever. This is the idea. Add fishing. Oh, Jesus. All right. So as I said, we're going to keep connect to Unity Cloud, but Unity version control, I'm not going to do it because if I do it, here I need like to pick a repository and like a server. And the reason why, like it's initially free for like a couple gigabytes of data, but once your game is big and you're making updates constantly, like the server space is going to get allocated really quickly, and very quickly you're going to have to start paying, and you're paying based on the amount of data you have saved up, right? So that's why initially it might not cost that much, but if your game becomes really big and you have like a lot of different versions, it's like the price is going to start ramping up fairly quickly, right? So we're not going to use version control. So now we're going to do create project. So now I click bottom right. Oh, well, there you go. There you go. Here you have, it's like loading the project. You kind of saw the name of my project. It is what it is. Fuck it. The cat's out of the bag, whatever. Yeah, so now we're waiting for this to load. Yeah. Better be able to pet the heckin' Doggerino day one. Well, in the game I'm currently making, there are no dogs. It's all a strategy game, so unfortunately, no dogs to pet. Yeah, so now while we're waiting, let me guys know if you have any questions. Okay, perfect. Yeah, so typically when you first create, I messed up. Yeah, there you go. It's also impressive that you managed to figure this shit out by yourself. Well, the very basics I was taught when I was in game design school, but when I'm saying the basics, it's like even more basic than everything I've explained to you guys so far, right? After I genocide the whole race, I want to look over my shoulder and see a nice pond and go, that looks like a good fishing spot and fish. Yeah, well, hey, I'm gonna have water worlds, so maybe, you know, no promises though, no promises, Star Master. But yeah, basically like what I was taught in game development school was like so much more basic than what I've explained to you guys so far. Basically the teacher was like, so this is how you open Unity, and he just opens Unity in front of you and already starts like working on his project. I'm like, wait, like how the fuck did we get here, right? And like, even if you try to ask him questions, eventually he's like the class needs to move on, right? And so it was like really impractical. It was really, frankly, shit. I'm gonna be honest, right? So this is why like the purpose of these streams, it's to show you guys how I learned Unity on my own. So it's like, I'm not gonna pretend like I'm a professional. I'm not gonna pretend like I have the answers to everything and whatnot. And like tomorrow, I'm probably gonna like give you guys the link to the Discord server where I'm gonna start adding resources, the types of resources and tutorials and all of the stuff I use to really learn how to properly prototype games and everything like that. But yeah, basically, whenever you create a project for the first time, it's it's always gonna take longer, but in the future it's not gonna take that long to like open up a project. Now, hold on. That's the same in coding class. Yeah. My teacher was a hardcore Second Life user, and she made us go into that game to hear some of the ramblings she mistook for teaching about Unity. Jesus. All right, so start a poll. How many monitors do you have? One monitor, two monitors, three or more monitors. All right. So I put up a poll just to know how many monitors you guys have. Right. All right. So now, as you can see here, it's like compiling everything. It's making sure that everything's working. All right, there you go. There you go. Everything's working. So one monitor, two monitors. Sorry. Second life. Sucking your life. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. These characters look cursed. Bruh. Anyways. Blessings. Alright. Okay, so most people have about 2/3 of people have 2 monitors. Then 1/3 have 1 monitor. Nobody has 3 monitors. Okay, that's kind of what I was expecting. Okay, so I have 3 monitors, and I'm gonna show you the way my Unity, my template, my layout is done. Because as you can see, hold on, if I go back to this here, as you can see, this looks very different from mine, right? And the reason for that is because I'm using it on all 3 of my monitors. I have more than 2 monitors that were given to me, but my laptop can only handle. Okay, gotcha. Okay, so basically, okay, I have this thing, which is like the main one, right? Then on my so this is on my central monitor, this one here. On my monitor to the right, I have this, okay? And then on my monitor on the left, I have this, okay? Now, for the sake of these streams and everything, I'm gonna use the default template. Hold on, this template here, right? Because most tutorials you see online use a variant of this template or this layout, which like works for a single monitor. So we're gonna use the same thing, and we're not gonna like complicate our lives, right? Because sometimes when you watch tutorials, the person has a completely different layout than you do, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, how the fuck did things happen? So for starters, I'm gonna show you the initial thing, which is like the different layouts. So right here in the top right corner, you can see layout. When you click on it, you can have the different layouts, right? Now here I have like my personal layout. So let's say if I click tall, I know what the fuck tall is. Okay, this is tall. Tall is trash. Fuck tall. If I click like personal layout here, bam, this is the one I'm using for my game. But we're gonna go with the default one, which is this, basically. Okay. So hold on, I'm just gonna take a screenshot of this so that I can then show you guys using Paint. Oops, not this. There you go. There you go. So now I can show you guys. Okay, perfect. All right. So let's go clockwise. So we're gonna go with this here first, then we're gonna go with this here, then this side here, right? and then this. But wait, I'm gonna see if I can use Krita, because here it's a little too zoomed in. But hold on. You can also go to the tabs and move them however and resize each screen. Exactly. So hold on. Oh, there you go. New file. Oh, fuck. Okay, no, fuck that. Yeah, we're not gonna use Krita. But yeah, basically like you can, I don't know, like select the hierarchy and like you can pop it out. You can add it here. You can move it here. You can add it like this. Like you know what I mean? You can do whatever you want, right? So then let's say like you've modified your thing, right? You've modified this to work like that. Like this looks like a fucking mess, right? Like this looks fucking awful and you're like, shit, what did I do? You just go top right, default, bam, back to zero, back to square one, right? But if you want to like save something, like let's say you move this here, you move this like that, you move this over here, you move this like that over here. Yeah, so this is its own window, right? So like you move it like that, and let's say you click here, save layout, and let's say messy or test layout, like that. There you go. So now you click default, and now you click test layout, bam, you know. And then if you want to delete the layout, you just click here, delete, yeah, test layout, delete here. It's not going to reset your thing, right? But as you can see here, it says like we have the test layout selected, but like there. So now if I click default, now I can't go back to how it was, right? Exactly. So, oh yeah, also here you can see there's a little star next to outdoor scene here. That means you've made changes, but you haven't saved them. So now if I click here and I just click save, bam, now the star has disappeared and it means you've saved everything you needed to save, okay? So I've already been streaming for about an hour. The way things are gonna go is that for today, I'm gonna show you how Unity works, like the absolute basics, right? Of like even like the basics of coding, but like I'm not gonna show you how exactly to code. That's like tomorrow is when I'm gonna start showing you how to code, right? What I'm gonna do today is I'm gonna show you like everything here, how Unity works. Hold on, like everything here. How this works, right? How all of this works. And then I'm gonna show you like the absolute basics, like how do I create a game object? Well, first of all, what the fuck is a game object? Then how do I create a game object? Then how do I create a script? And then I'm gonna explain to you the absolute basics of what happens inside of a script, right? And before that, I'm even gonna show you a bunch of other basic stuff about Unity, but we're gonna stop there and I'm not gonna show you how to actually start coding. That's gonna be tomorrow. Tomorrow at noon, I'm gonna start showing you, well, first I'm gonna do a little bit of a recap, like a 15-minute recap of today's session, of today's stream. And then I'm gonna start showing you guys how to do like the most basic code, which is like how to let's say like make a cube, how to make the cube move, how to then do a bunch of other stuff, right? And so the idea is that over the course of the streams I'm going to be showing you guys, I'm not going to show you how to make a specific game. Like I'm not going to show you how to make a tower defense or an RPG or a strategy game or whatever, right? What I'm going to show you guys is how to code specific mechanics, right? Like, oh, I want to have like, hold on. I want to have a mechanic where I have like an inventory system, right? With a bunch of like items, right? Or wait, what the fuck am I doing it this way? With a bunch of items, right? that are all right here, and then I have like whatever, like either the items like name and like the item here, like a sword or some shit. Wow, this is like the ugliest sword I've ever made. This is fucking awful. But yeah, you get the idea. Like I'm gonna show you like how to make specific mechanics. Like for instance, like oh, okay, I have a mob here, and it's gonna have like a cone of vision, right? So how do I make? Oh, hold on. How do I make like a cone of vision, for instance, right? How do I make a projectile mechanic? How do I make whatever the fuck, right? Like that's the idea, right? Like I'm gonna show you how to do specific mechanics that you can use to do whatever kind of game you want. You want to make an FPS, you're gonna be able to use the things I show you to make an FPS, right? You want to make a platformer, you can make a platformer. You want to make draw curved line, yeah. You're gonna be able to do whatever you want, right? So exactly. So as I was saying initially, here top right you have the layout things. Now this is, I'm hoping it's clear. Now here up top you have like the typical file, like file, edit, asset, game object, component, services, jobs, whatever, right? These things, we're not really gonna touch them for now, right? Like these things here, but eventually once we start doing like more fancy stuff, like we're gonna start doing, like for instance, effects, particle system, trail renderer, visual effect, blah, 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 you know, rendering, was it here or was it visual scripting, listeners, etc., like UI, legacy effects, event, like a bunch of stuff like that, right? Like this here, it's like, it's much more complicated, but we're not gonna touch these things, right? Will you show us how to make a unit tracker? I'm gonna show you everything I know, basically. I'm gonna show you everything I know, and as I said previously, when I start really doing the UI for my game and doing a bunch of other stuff like that, I'm gonna do more streams based on like how to do specifically good UI, how to use other stuff, like for instance how to use Blender. So like not all of my tutorials are gonna, not all of my streams are gonna be about Unity. Some of my streams are gonna be like how to use Blender to make a 3D model and then how to import that 3D model inside Unity. Stuff like that, you know? So I'm gonna show you as much as I know so that you guys can like make a game on your own, basically. We have a poor god that's main saying is do your best. Maybe. I will not promise anything, but I'll see what I can do, basically. All right, so now here we have the hierarchy. Let's go back to here. Here we have the hierarchy, okay? Right here. Okay, here we have the hierarchy. What the hierarchy does is that it shows you what is inside of your scene. Now, what is a scene, right? Scene. Okay, what's the Poirian code? Yeah, so what's a scene? The scene is what you're seeing right here, okay? This, and as you can see in the tab here, it says scene, right? In this tab over here, it says scene. Now the scene is basically the virtual game world inside of which like stuff happens, right? So whenever you're playing a video game, hold on, let me see if I can show you guys level design behind the scenes. Okay. Oh my god, The Last of Us, yeah. So for instance here, this is a scene, right? this one, for instance, is made for Cyberpunk 2077, but basically everything that you see here, all of the cubes, all of the different visuals and whatever, they are inside of a scene. Now, certain engines might use different terms, but Unity uses the term scene, and it's used to describe everything that is happening inside of the game world, basically, right? So if we go back here, right, you can see like outdoor scene or whatever, right? And you have underneath it in the hierarchy here. So hold on. So let me take another screenshot. All right, copy. There you go. So brush. Okay. So as you can see here in the hierarchy, the reason why it's called a hierarchy is because it shows the hierarchy of game objects that are inside the scene, right? So we have the scene here, and then we have the game objects inside of, right, like these here, right? Now, main camera is, as you might imagine, the camera. Sun is the name given to the light source in the scene. Just doing a quick Google search, I found that Rider for Mac is an equivalent to Visual Studio, but I'm not totally sure as I'm a Windows user. Okay, I'm behind a little. Do you know if I have to install Visual Studio if I'm on a Mac? It's not in the list of add-ons you showed earlier. Yeah, that's the problem. I'm not using Mac, so honestly, I'm not gonna pretend I know. What I would suggest is if you have any questions that like I can't answer to them, like for instance with the Mac stuff, honestly go ask ChatGPT. ChatGPT is super useful. Like explain to ChatGPT your situation. Like, hey, I'm like learning Unity. This is the first time I'm using it. I just downloaded, or like I'm planning on installing a version of Unity. Basically like, do I need Visual Studio? Is there something else for it, etc., right? And ChatGPT should help you, because unfortunately I don't, like, I'm a Windows user, so I'm really not sure. And again, what I would say is to make these tutorials as easy to follow as possible, like try to do exactly what I'm doing, right? Again, unfortunately, if you're on the Mac, there are probably going to be some differences, but I'm not going to be able to help you too much with those, unfortunately. So anyways, back to what I was saying. Like here you have your main camera. This is a game object that determines like basically what the camera is, right? Here it's called Sun, but I'm gonna rename it to main light. Oh fuck. Main light. And here's sky and fog volume. This we're gonna keep the name the same, okay? And what each of these things does, these are like the core things to have like the most minimal basic visuals in a scene, okay? So main camera, here as you can see, like when I don't have it selected, you can kind of see the camera icon here, the sun or like the light icon here, and then like a cube icon, right? Like right here, right? Here like that, right? So this right here is the camera, this right here is the light source, and this right here is the volume map. What these things do is that the camera, as you can see, once I select it, it's showing me like the field of view of the camera. Now, here's how you can navigate. When your mouse is on the scene view, if you hold the middle mouse button, you can start moving around. Okay, like that. If you hold right click, you can change your point of view, right? If you hold W, it's gonna show you this gizmo that you can use to change the movement of an object. But if you press like, what was it, like R is for the scale. If you press E, it's for the angle, stuff like that. But for now, we're gonna keep things simple. We're gonna keep things this way, right? Like looking this way, right? So you can, this is middle mouse button, this is right click, and you can select stuff like that to begin with, right? But in general, the way I move is I hold, let's say, right click to change the angle through which I'm seeing things, and then I slide like that. Oh, and you can also like rotate the mouse wheel to like zoom in, zoom out, right? And another thing that's useful is, let's say you're really zoomed in, and like as you can see now that I'm zoomed in, moving even the slightest like moves my camera way more. Like it's way more sensitive than like when I'm here, basically, right? So what you want to do in order to change this, is you press middle mouse, I think twice, right? Yeah, there you go. No, you press it once on an object, right? So here, when I press it in the void, it does nothing, right? But if I then select here on the light and I press it, see, it's gonna like center me towards here, right? So now that I'm trying to like zoom in, it's like limiting my zooming in, right? Oh, fuck. There you go. Yeah, there you go. Like that, right? So I select here, and now it's like much slower and everything, right? So again, this is the hierarchy. It's showing you what objects are in your scene. For now, we're not going to create any new objects, but this is just so you know, okay? You can click the gizmo in the corner too, right? Yeah. Well, the gizmo in the corner is not used. Thank you. That's a very good question. The gizmo here in the top right corner is not used to actually move it. So let's say here, right? I'm going to left click on this, hold it, and like move it up and down, right? But if I were to click here, top right on the Y thing, what it's gonna do is change the camera to orient me perfectly like perpendicular, like in a perpendicular angle to like this axis. Now, if I click Z here, it's gonna show me from the front, here it's from the side, and here it's from above, right? So the idea is that the blue, what's it called? The blue arrow represents the Z axis, which is forward, right? Like forward, backward, right? Then X is the red one. It represents right or left. And when I say right, it's right based on what's on the front of the object, right? So the front is Z, right is X, back is negative Z, so front is positive Z, negative Z is back, positive X is right, negative X is left, positive Y is up, negative Y is down, okay? You can also hold Alt and click drag left and or right click to maneuver as well. Also, you can press F while you have an object selected to send. Yeah, exactly. You can, what Silver Sterling said is perfect. Yeah. I'm just like a bit more ghetto, so I just do it this way. But everything he said is like perfect, right? So as I said, like here you can control, and it's the same thing here, right? Like you have the different angles and whatever, right? But because this object is kind of like invisible, it doesn't really have anything, like we can't really see it rotate, so there's no point, right? But that's the idea. Now here, as you can see, we've selected the scene tab, but if I click here on the game tab, what it's gonna show is this. Now you're like, well, wait, what the fuck is this? I'm not seeing anything. That's because, hold on, let me select the camera. It's showing you what the camera is seeing, right? And because our scene is currently empty, it's not showing anything, right? Like we can't really see much of anything except the skybox, basically. The inspector tells you everything, exactly. And the inspector here on the right is telling us what, it's showing us the actual properties and the information of the object we currently have selected. That's why if I select main light, it's going to show me the light component. See, now I disabled it by clicking here on the little check mark, right? So now if we go into game, see game, now it's not showing anything. Now if I click light, oh, now all of a sudden it's showing us. Why? Because the light is here, like it was called sun before, but it's the main light, right? And here we can like control all the different light settings, but I'm gonna let you guys know immediately, in a 3D game, fucking around with the light settings is like the stuff of nightmares. Like you basically want to like shoot yourself, right? Because if you fuck up the lighting, it can make all of your textures look fucking weird, right? Like you can start having shit that glows and whatever, right? Like I'm gonna show you a quick example here. Here I'm gonna right click on the left in the hierarchy. I'm gonna right click and I'm gonna create here 3D object cube. So let's say I'm gonna create a cube. It's gonna be called cube, and now it has appeared. Here, on the top right of the screen, you can see the transform. So that's the transform component. You can see the name of the cube, which if I change the name here, it's also gonna change in the hierarchy. So let's say cube test. See, now it changed here. Now if I remove test, there you go. It changed here. If I click on this check mark, it disables or like it deactivates the cube, okay? Here we have tags, we have layers, but for now we're not gonna touch that. That's gonna be later on once we start doing like collisions and a bunch of other stuff like that. Yeah, so here you have the different components that are linked to this object, right? Hey GameSense, hope you're enjoying the stream. Yeah, so here, when I select the main camera, it has a transform component, then has a camera component, then has an audio listener, and an HD additional camera data, right? So this here is a script. As you can see, it has like it looks like a paper with the green hashtag. That's a script, right? Here, if I select main light, it has a light component and a transform component. If we select the sky and fog volume, it has a volume thing, which volume is like the sky and fog volume allows you to like, basically the lighting in your game is based on the light and then the way the light is affected by the volume and the way the skybox is affected by the volume and everything, right? But honestly, I'm not going to go into this because I don't have enough experience with this. And every single time I fucked around with this, it like broke my game. So the only times I ever fuck around with this is when ChatGPT is like assisting me and I'm asking ChatGPT, I'm like, hey, I have like a volume component and like the visual environment, blah, blah, blah. If I click on this, what's it gonna do, right? Like if I click on this and I start fucking around with it, what's it gonna do? And like it explains to me, and I'm like, oh, okay, got it, right? But I'm telling you, like sky and fog volume, like either look at tutorials or ask ChatGPT, because this thing like can seriously break your game, and I'm gonna show you, okay? I'm gonna remove the light. Now you see my cube, now all of a sudden my cube has disappeared, right? If I were to add a specific material to my cube, right? Let's, well, yeah, okay, here it has like the default thing, so I can't really change it. But if I were to like fuck around with the emissive map, this thing would start glowing, right? But it would glow a shit ton, like it would almost be blindingly, hold on. Let me just show you an example, okay? I'm gonna create quickly. I'm skipping a few steps, but material test, just to highlight to you guys how it looks like. This looks like, so base map, let's say red. See, so now it's supposed to be colored red, right? If I activate the light, you're gonna see it's red colored, right? Hold on, now here, and now emissive. Let's say we're gonna do a blue emission, right? And we're gonna do an intensity of 6. Okay, there you go. Like that, HDRP lit, opaque, etc. Okay, there you go. So now, as you can see, nothing has really changed, right? Now what happens if I if I turn off my light? Now you're like, wait, what the fuck? Right? So that's why I'm saying, like, be very careful how you mess with the lights, because it's like shit can go haywire really quickly, right? If I create another cube, right, and I put it above, and let's say I change the scale to like 10, 10. See here, there's shade, right? So it's not being lit, but it's not glowing, right? Hold on, let me just adjust. See, and like if I start messing around with the angle of the light, it starts fucking around and changing everything, right? So there you go. There you go, like that. So see, this side here is lit. The corners aren't lit because the light is directly like pointing downward, right? And this stuff isn't glowing. Now, the moment I deactivate the light, see, now we can't really see this thing, but this one's glowing, right? So there you go. So again, I skipped a bunch of steps, but just to show you guys that like shit's weird, right? Like you can really fuck up your game really quickly if you do these things, right? So yeah, so technically every component on an object is a script / code within itself. It's just built in, but yeah, not really important. But exactly, Silver Soling. That's exactly it. But the reason why I'm calling these things components and the scripts I'm calling them scripts, it's to create this mental idea that like the light script or the camera script or the volume script, whatever, it works differently somewhat from like a real script, basically. Can you set the light to be dynamic? Well, yes, you can use scripts to, like, for instance, to change the angle of the light, right? So you can eventually create the script that's gonna determine like how the light is rotating, for instance, right? So if here I select rotate here and I start moving my mouse, right? As you can see, you can create like these visuals that mimic like a sun, right? So here the sun appears, here it's going like that, right? And now it's going back down, etc., 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 right? Like that, right? There you go. For now, I'm gonna put out 45 like it was. There you go. Okay, I'm gonna delete this material. So now, as you can see, this cube here has the material test on it. Here we can see in the lower component, we have like the test material. Okay, that's cool. You can add more light sources as well. Exactly, and there are different types of lights, but I'm not gonna approach this right now because we're still doing the basics. But eventually, once we start like making actual prototypes and stuff like that, I'm gonna show you guys how you can like fuck around with lights. But again, it's gonna be really basic, right? So here you can see if I select the material, so like let's disable the light, and now let's change it to like orange, right? Or whatever, right? So now it's glowing a different color, for instance, right? All right. Also, let me know if like my stream is doing all right or if everything's working and everything, right? All right, so, all right. So hold on. There you go. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming, such viewers will experience buffering. Jesus, okay, hold on. Open widget, error. All right. Well, let me guys know if the stream is like buffering or if it's like, okay, so far so good. Okay, perfect. All right. So hold on. Stream seems to be going good. All right, perfect. Okay, so All right, so let's go back to here. I'm gonna reactivate the light. And now, as you can see, the material component, like this material thing here, has been added to the material component of this object, okay? And now I'm gonna delete it, okay? Delete. You cannot undo the delete assets action. Bam. Now it's deleted. Now, as you can see, this cube, now it doesn't have shit, right? It doesn't have a material. It's basically broken compared to this one, right? So here, if I were to copy material properties, and let's say maybe paste. No, exactly. It's not gonna let me paste. Exactly. So material, yeah. So basically what I just did is I broke this cube. Now this cube here is like broken basically. See, like depending on how I move, now it's like weird, right? So that's what you want to avoid. You want to avoid like this weird type of shit, right? So now I'm gonna delete these things. Okay, I'm gonna leave the functioning cube here, this thing. And here, I can like fuck around with its stuff, right? So the transform, the reason why every single game object here, despite having different components, the reason why they all have a transform is because like you cannot have a game object without a transform, right? So if I were to right click here and go here, and here it says create empty. If I just click on create empty, like game object, let's say it's got empty object, all it has is a transform, right? And the thing also is that it doesn't create them at the position 0, 0, 0, right? So these positions here are based on the gizmo, right? So if I were to like click here and modify it, see, it like goes up and down basically, right? Same thing with this. It's gonna go right or left, forward or backward, right? And the thing is, when you spawn an object, it doesn't spawn at the center. It spawns like at some random places. And right now it's not that bad because they're really close to, like, if I click 0, 0, 0, they're really close to the center, right? Hold on. There you go. And now let's move this one down a little bit, right? Let's say minus 2.5, right? But the thing is, once you start having like a big scene and a lot of objects, sometimes you're gonna create a new object and it's gonna be at like minus 2000 or whatever, X and Y and Z and whatever, right? So that's why it's like weird, right? Okay, yes, it's cool. You can add so the stream seems to be doing good. It's good. The cube is still there, broken though. Exactly. Yeah. So now, as I was saying, like we can select the cube, etc., right? And typically, the way you make like game characters or whatever is like you create an empty object and you start adding stuff, right? Like different components, like I don't know, like collider box, right? So now, if I double click here, it's gonna show you this game object is like empty, right? But it now has like a collision box, basically, right? And if I look at the cube here, see those like green lines? That's the collision box. That's like, that automatically comes with a cube, right? So for instance, if you want to make like a spherical projectile, you go here, you click a sphere, it's going to create you a sphere. Again, it's not 0, 0, 0. It's not perfectly centered, right? But you can basically double click here. You can see a sphere like that, right? With its collision box. If I want, I can increase the radius of its collision box. So it's bigger, it's smaller than the visual model, etc., right? So that's basically once you start making games and everything, it's all like smoke and mirrors, right? It's all like a fully built 3D character has like a bunch of different objects like stacked on top of one another with different collision boxes, with different components, with different scripts, with a bunch of different shit, right? It's so cool. You can edit so much of the attributes of objects in Unity. Exactly. Like you can, like, the sky's the limit. You can really make a bunch of really crazy stuff, right? So now I'm gonna show you guys what a parent and child object is, right? So let's go here. So now I've selected this, right? I'm holding this and I can move it in the hierarchy, right? I can move it like above, below, etc., etc. So now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna put the cube as a child of this. So I'm moving it, instead of moving it here in between objects, if you look at the hierarchy, the top left, right? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move it into empty object. So now here, if I click this, see it disappears. Why? Because it's a child of empty object, right? Let's change its name. But then what I can do is make the sphere into a child of the cube, right? Exactly, parenting. So what this means is I can still move this however I want, right? I can still move this however I want, but the moment I move the cube, all of its children are gonna move along with it, right? And same thing with this object here. See? And so the idea, hold on, let's go back. I'm doing Control Z to undo my actions. It's now I can drag and drop it out, right? So now the sphere is no longer a child, right? So now let's look at the transform, right? We have the position, which is 0, 0, 0, the rotation 0, 0, 0, and the scale 1, 1, 1, right? Standard. Now, the moment I make this into a child of the cube, it's gonna change. See? Now we're like, wait a minute. Why does it say y is 2.5? Why does it say that the scale is 0.1, 0.1, but here 1? It's because now its transform is based on its parent, right? And the parent is 10 times larger on the x, 10 times larger on the z. It's the exact same on the y, and its position is minus 2.5, which means that the sphere is 2.5 above its parent, and it's 10 times smaller on the x and z or z, right? And it's the same thing here, right? This here, it says minus 2.5 because this one here is 0. If I were to raise this one to like 1, let's say 1.03, whatever, see, this doesn't change, right? And this one doesn't change either. Why? Because they're based on their parents, right? But this does change, basically. Yeah. Its location scale is now relative to its parent object. Exactly. Now here I'm gonna change this a bit. Okay. Now to show you guys the last part here. The bottom part here. You have the console and the project. Project here is all of the files for your game, right? So this here is like your outdoor scene. Here it's your README. Here that shows like the HDRP template, empty template, whatever. Here it's like input system. This is new. I haven't touched this yet. So honestly, I'm not exactly sure how to use this, but I know that they recently introduced a new way to do inputs in Unity. I'm for my game, I'm still using the old way, but I might soon start using the new way. And once I do that, if I do that, I'm gonna show you guys like the two ways, the old way and the new way, right? Here you have tutorial info, scripts, etc., whatever. But these are like added on, right? Me personally, whenever I'm creating my own type of stuff in Unity, okay, I always do this, okay? I right click, I go here, create, and I create a folder. And the way I write the folders so that I know for a fact which folders are mine and which folders aren't mine, like they're from Unity or they're from one of the asset stores I've downloaded from online or whatever. I do underscore and let's say scenes, right? So now I'm gonna drag and drop this inside of this, right? So now I know that anything here is my own scenes, right? Let's create another folder. We're gonna call it scripts. Here is, inside of this is where I'm gonna place all the scripts, right? Another folder, let's say materials. This is where I'm gonna create all of the materials, right? Then another folder, which is gonna be called prefabs. Now what the prefab is the following, okay? Here it's empty, right? And now I'm gonna create another folder inside of this folder, which we're gonna call, and this, since this new folder is inside one of my folders, there's no need to add an underscore underneath it because we know, right? So as you can see here in the absolute left, you have like assets, materials, blah, 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 right? So now when I create this folder, it's gonna appear as a child of my prefabs folder, and we're gonna say test prefabs, right? So now when I click here, bam, I can have access to this. So this, the project window here, it simply exists to allow you to access like the different assets that are gonna be in your game, right? So, hold on, so now I could create whatever I want here, right? But what I'm gonna do is take this empty object, right, which has the cube child and the sphere who's a child of the cube, who's a child of the empty object. I'm gonna drag and drop it inside of this here, right? And now like, wait, what the fuck, right? So now this is called a prefab, which is short for prefabrication or whatever. And the idea is that in video games, whenever, let's say like you're playing Halo, let's say, hold on. Images. Like that, okay. When you're playing this, let's say an enemy spawns or you start shooting bullets or whatever the fuck. What happens is that the game is gonna have like a bullet prefab and it's gonna spawn that prefab, right? So what this allows you to do is basically create a brand new scene. Let's say, let's go back here to assets. Let's go back into scenes. Let's create scene, new scene, save, because I made changes. See, now we're in a new scene, right? But if I go here into test prefabs, I just click, drag and drop, bam. See? Now I have this, basically. So far so good. Like, is it clear so far? Do you guys understand everything? You know, more or less, whatever. All right. Yeah. So, oh yeah. And this here, the console is once you start, because here at the top, at the center, you have like play, pause, etc. Yeah. Okay. So far so good. Amazing. Perfect. So here, once you start, if you look up here above, right, you have like a pause, you have a play, etc. What this does, because so far, right, I've been like placing shit, I've been adding stuff, but like nothing's really happening in the game world, right? That's because we're in the editor, right? We're in the Unity editor, right? If I click play here, right, now you saw my whole screen became purple, like a bunch of stuff changed, like there was a little bit of a loading bar, and now it has automatically swapped us from the scene view to the game view, right? If I click here on the stop or whatever, it sends us back to the scene view, right? And as you saw, I had like 3 lines, like two yellow lines, 1 red one, or something like that, and it disappeared because I clicked play. Every time I click play, this thing here gets refreshed. You can like fuck around with it and like tell it, yeah, like clear on play, clear on build, clear on recompile. I always leave it clear on play just because it's simpler that way. But basically, for instance, if you're making a script and there's a problem with your script, once you click play and the logic and the code starts running, it's gonna tell you, right? And you can even enable like error on pause. Me personally, I don't enable error on pause, but like sometimes it can be useful, right? For you to know exactly what thing is causing like a crash or like an error or whatever, right? Whatever's not working, right? Now, if any of you have Unity downloaded and you're basically following along at the same time as I'm doing it, when you clicked play, your screen probably didn't turn purple, right? Now, the reason for that is because I set up a specific thing that makes it that way, right? So let me just remember exactly where it was. So here, if we go into Windows, right, we have panels, console, hierarchy, inspector, project. Was it in project? No, because project is this here. Hold on. Which one was it? General. No. Rendering. Analysis. Profiler. Nope. Nope. Asset manager. Accessibility. No, exactly. So I think it was. Yes. Okay, exactly. So it's in edit, project settings. Okay. So you're going to edit, top left, project settings. Yeah, exactly. It went to darker gray. Exactly. So basically here, once you select project settings, click on this thing here and move it here like that, right? And what we're going to do now is we're going to start adding a few custom things to our layout so that it has more of the components that I usually use, right? It's still going to be only on one monitor because at least a third of you guys only have one monitor. But we're gonna start adding stuff over the course of the different streams. So now click top right, default, save layout, and I'm gonna name it game dev tutorials layout. You can name it whatever you want, it doesn't matter, right? And now if I do default, see, now that I did default, these things disappeared, right? And now when I click here and I do game dev tutorials layout, everything's gonna change, including it, like even the tiniest changes, right? Like game dev tutorial, bam, there you go, you know? And because we saved it, when we had the project settings open, it's always gonna open at project settings. So if we wanted to open the scene, we go here, we do save layout, no, exactly, save layout. Yeah, and it's already named, save, override, there you go. Also, by the way, you can go to window and panels, scene. Okay, no, because we already have one. Okay, so what you can do is add a tab and add another scene, right? So now I have two scene tabs, right? Let's say I have this one that's looking at it from this angle and I have this one from this angle, right? So once again, save layout, bam. There you go. So now I can swap between these. There's no point in having more than one game tab just because it's always going to show you the exact same thing, the camera thing. So, you know, but the reason why I usually have two scene layouts is because eventually, once we start doing stuff with UI, I'm going to have one scene that's checking the UI and one scene that's more like this, right? And so whenever I need to like add stuff or like fuck around with the UI, I go to my UI scene, and then whenever I have to actually place objects in the game world, I like go to my game world scene or whatever. Now, what I always do is file, save, and then what I do after saving is save project. I do both of these just in case, right? Just to avoid like any mistakes or unforeseen problems and whatever. So now as I was saying, I believe the color changes for play mode. Exactly. So here we have project settings, and we have edit, preferences, same thing. We're gonna add preferences here, and we go to colors. like Silver Sterling said. And we go play mode tint, okay, here. So if I were to change this, hold on, hexadecimal, I'm just gonna copy paste this. If I were to change it to like some kind of like bright red, now if I click play, Jesus Christ, okay, fuck. See, this is like way too much, right? This is way too much, right? But if I were to click here and let's say have it like a very, let's say put it at white, right? Yeah. See, like I put it at white and it's basically like invisible, which is not good, right? So play mode tint, if I were to put it all at black, let's see, Jesus fuck. Oh my God, okay. Oh no, oh no. Yeah. So anyways, so I put it at this color just because it's an ugly color that gets your attention, but it also doesn't hurt your eyes, right? So this is the color I put it at. There you go. And by the way, here in preferences, what you change here is not project specific. So any project you make, if I change my settings in this project, it affects every single other project that I have, right? So that's just so you know, okay? Now, in project settings, we're gonna go here, okay? And we're gonna start setting up so that we can code, okay? Adaptive performance, no, it's not this. It's not an input manager. Script execution order, no. Time, version control, nope. Visual Script and XR plug, Okay, memory settings, no. Editor. Where is the scripting? It's not in script execution order. Or was it here? No, not jobs. Not asset pipeline. Hold on. Let's just save everything just in case. I don't entirely remember where it was because I've been doing this so rarely. Fuck. Open a C# properties. Okay. Assets properties. No, exactly. All right. So now, and we're gonna end on this next part here because at this point I've been streaming for like 2 hours and I haven't eaten anything since last night, so I'm starting to get a little lightheaded. That's also why I'm burping and shit. So basically I'm gonna show you the absolute basics of coding, right? But I'm not actually gonna show you, like, it's gonna be so basic that you're not really gonna be able to code off of what I'm about to show you, right? It's more so I'm gonna explain to you the absolute basics, right? And tomorrow we're actually gonna start coding and like making things move and just making stuff happen, right? So again, just as a recap, when you click play, it turns purple and you do this. Now the reason why I'm doing this, why I told you guys to change the colors, is because now, let's say I go here in my scene view and I select my empty object, right? And I move it up, right? So now here, if you look at the top right, its values have changed, right? Its Y is changing, right? If I click pause, nothing happens. Hold on. If I click stop, it's gonna reset. You know what I mean? Like it reset back to like 3 where it was, right? Now the reason why this happens is because everything you do in when you're outside of play gets like recorded. Everything you do in play doesn't get recorded, right? And so the reason why you want to have this like color thing happen when you click play is because if you don't have the color thing, what a mistake you might make is start fiddling around like in one of your scripts to like maybe you're testing like for balancing reasons, right? How much damage it takes for you to like for the player character to die, for instance. And you're modifying it, but you don't have this color set in, right? And you're modifying it and you're like, okay, yeah, I'm really happy with this. But the whole time you're doing this while you're in play mode, well, the moment you close Unity or whatever, it's not gonna save all the changes you made, right? And so that's why it's really important for you to like have this active, right? So now for the last part of today's stream, we're gonna double click on the script folder here. We're gonna right click and I'm going to create a mono behavior script here, right? So now I clicked it. Now it has appeared here, the paper with the hashtag. But as you can see, none of my Visual Studios are open, right? So now let's say we're gonna call it test script. Or actually, I'm not gonna put script behind it. We're just gonna say test, okay? We're just gonna say test, okay? So now the moment I click enter, it's gonna create this asset, right? Now just for you guys, like right now it's creating the asset, right? But just for you guys to visualize like what this project window, what this project tab leads to, let me open this up. Let me go this PC, local disk, Unity. Fuck. What is game dev tutorials? There you go. All right. And here you can see assets, library, logs, packages, blah, 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 right? Here you can see the project window automatically opens in assets, right? And here in the bottom left, you can see assets, packages, etc., right? So then when I click here and I double click assets, then I have materials, prefabs, scenes, scripts, etc., right? I click scripts, bam, I have my script, you know? Also, this here, every time you create a script, it's gonna have something like this, okay? What this is in case by mistake you erase this script, this is like the backup file, right? That's why it's a meta file, but because you can use this, I forget how, because honestly I never do it, but you can use this as a way to restore this script, right? But if you're not sure, like ask ChatGPT, it's gonna explain to you how everything works, basically. So we're going here, and now I'm gonna double click this, and you should have Visual Studio 2022 set up as the default script manager, and it's gonna open up, like, so when you double click this, it should open up Visual Studio 2022. I noticed you have to open a mono behavior file in U6 instead of a C# in previous versions for you to later open them in Visual Studio. You have to a mono behavior file. What do you mean by mono behavior file? Because mono behavior is just the type of class, or like the type of script that you're doing, right? So now here it's open, okay? And now here it's probably gonna be the most important part of every single stream I'm about to make, okay? I tried looking it up before starting the stream, but I couldn't for the life of me remember exactly where it was. Is it maybe here in project, starter project, connected, sir? Oh, okay, project dependencies. I think that's what this is. Assembly, C# editor, builder. Oh no, it's not this. Hold on. Project. No. It was something like add a reference, show all files. Oh boy. Nope. All right. Project. Show all files. Nope. All right. Oh, or is it just, okay, I can select the deselect it. Okay. Manage connected services. Is it here? No, exactly. So that's not it. Okay. Analysis. No, it's not this either. Okay, hold on. I meant class, sorry. The tool tabs are different. Okay, yeah, gotcha. So basically, like mono behavior is the type of script we're gonna be using. For my game, I'm using other things that aren't all mono behavior, but that's like way more complicated, and honestly, like that's maybe the one thing I won't do a stream about, because even I myself don't fully understand it. So I don't wanna like give you guys like the wrong information or false information or whatever the fuck, right? So this here is the script. Now I'm sorry if I look like I'm what I'm doing is not entirely clear, but basically I'm looking for something that allows me to know whether or not the Visual Studio has the tool necessary to work within Unity. Because yes, we're doing this in C#, but there are like different subtypes of C# languages and whatever. And so when you have Unity 2022, Visual Studio 2022 to use with Unity 6, you need to also have added an extension or a tool, I'm not sure, to your Visual Studio that's going to allow you to, like here in the Visual Studio installer, right? No, not available, not release notes, more, export configuration, update settings. So I think it's in the configuration, but I'm not sure. No, okay, no, that's not it. Not exactly, but it's like, hold on. Nope. Hold on. Let's see here in tools, because one of my friends, when I was teaching him last year how to do stuff in Unity, his Visual Studio like wasn't working the way mine is, and some of you guys might also have the same problem, because like here void is written in red, test is written in like teal, Unity Engine is written in blue, right? This is written in green, but some of you guys might not have it that way, right? And so this is why I wanna make sure that we set it up so that it looks as similar as possible, so that you guys don't get confused. Because this is another thing that I've noticed, right? It's like a lot of tutorials, like actually let me show you guys. This guy here is a guy whose tutorials I've been following, but this is using ECS, which ECS is the thing I told you that's like not mono behavior. This is something else, right? It's way more complicated. I'm just gonna show you an example of how he does his code, right?
That bug, if I click to move, go there.
There you go. Hold on. So first of all, his Unity already looks a bit different from mine. And then let me see. Okay. Hold on. God damn it. Hold on. Okay. So like here, for instance, his colors are completely different. Like here, the value RO dot position, like in my thing, these are colored. In his, they're not, right? So whenever I look at his tutorial, it's super fucking difficult for me to like pay it, to be like, wait, what the fuck is this? Where are we at now, right? So that's why it's like these things. Oh fuck, hold on. I shouldn't have closed this. There you go. Home. Okay, perfect. All right, so hold on. Bam, 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 bam. And this here. There you go. That color coded shit is complicated. Exactly. So hold on. So that's why we need to do this the proper way. So tools, customize, commands. No, that's not it. Tools, options, environment, projects, and solutions. Okay, yes. I think that's where this is, okay? So IntelliCode, this IntelliCode is the type of AI thing I was talking to you about, okay? So I'm gonna give an example, okay? I'm gonna create a void test function, okay? And now here, I'm gonna do test. So see this grayed out part? This is what the IntelliCode is doing. It's like auto-correcting you, right? So now if I just click tab, it's gonna do this. If I click tab again, bam, the code is done, right? In this case, it was very obvious, right? It couldn't have made a mistake, but let's say we do test function 2, right? And then we delete this, and I do test f. See, now it's less obvious, right? So this is just as an example. There you go. Okay, so now tools options. Okay, IntelliCode. Then what we have is it database tools? Nope. Text editor, general, advanced, C#. Was it in here? Oh, I don't remember. But basically in one of these places, you could make sure that you had editor color scheme. Yeah, no, we're not touching that. C# Visual Basic. Basically, okay, hold on. Let me see if I can download a new version of Visual Studio. No, I don't think so. I don't think, modify maybe. Okay, maybe this is gonna show. Okay, perfect. Okay, this is what I was looking for. Okay, so when you download Visual Studio, here the .NET desktop development, yeah, so this here, this is what you should have selected, right? Because here you have desktop development with C++, .NET multi-platform app UI development, blah, 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 right? You have all of these different things. So what you need is .NET desktop development, and here game development with Unity. If you don't have this installed, like your shit is not gonna work, basically, right? So you need to go here and make sure that this is installed, because if this isn't installed, like your code is just not gonna run, right? And your scripts are not like, you're even gonna have difficulty doing what I did here, right? Like right click, create mono behavior script. It's not gonna work basically, right? So this is why you need to like make sure that all of this is set up properly, right? So this was number one, the tools options here. Yeah, like in the C# to make sure also in the Visual Studio editor that everything is working properly and shit. Then here in extensions, was it here or was it theme? No, exactly, that's not it. Customize. No, it wasn't here. I think it was in options. Text editor. Code cleanup. File extension. All languages, no. Where was it? Environment, no. Text templating. No. Nope. Oh my god, where was it? Was it in debugging? Nope. It wasn't in debugging. C# general, scroll bars. Fuck, man. I'm sorry guys if this is taking long. I had looked it up, I had found it right before the stream, but now I immediately forgot where it was. No, exactly, it's not here. Fuck. Okay, hold on. Was it in project? No. Test, analyze, tools customize maybe. No, exactly. Text editor standard. No. Window help. Well, anyways, in one of these things is the, hold on. It's not always perfect, but it is definitely a boon to have. Okay, gotta be careful sometimes of the auto input because there have been cases where it fills in a line of code perfectly, but autocorrects a variable with the same, exactly. So that's why you need to really be careful. If that's not installed properly, the dict doesn't work, so it's a ineffective. Jesus. I use Visual Studio Code and add extensions I need as I go along. Exactly. That's the perfect mentality to have. The Visual Studio you're using is not available on Mac since last year. I'm used to. Okay, perfect. Yeah, exactly. So basically, do what works for you, and like as long as it works properly, like there shouldn't be any issue, right? Hold on. Let me just use this. Fuck. Now I'm pissed. I really wanna. Hold on. I'm gonna ask ChatGPT. In Visual Studio 2022, where do I go to change the color of the text? Tools, options, and okay, there you go. Tools, options. Okay, it was an environment. There you go. And what was it? Environment, fonts and colors. There you go. Okay, so let's recap. Tools, options, environment, fonts and colors. And here, like plain text is white, selected text is this, line number, etc., right? And you have a bunch of different things, and basically put them in whatever color works best for you, right? Like all of these are default. It's just that some of them, like, so for instance, string, that's a type of variable. It's important to have it a different color, right? Because if all of your stuff is the same color, it becomes very difficult to distinguish it from one another, right? Entity of interest, hold on. Let me go, there was like identifier, information, online hints, you know, so like keyword here, like see custom, right? Most of these, as you can see, are default because like I didn't touch them because like they're fine, right? But like, hold on. Call return, not exactly. Code review, code snippet collapsed, comment green. That's typical critical. See here, I added it. Conflict, I added it red because the default one was like not working for me, for instance, right? Stuff like that, right? So then other error, operator custom, number custom, because again, the numbers were like the same color as everything else. And I'm like, no. Like I need to know that my numbers are different from whatever the fuck else, right? So these are some of them. I don't remember which ones exactly I changed, but yeah, like punctuation, custom. So like here, this is the reason why my oh my God, I forgot my semicolons or whatever. That's why they're yellow, because I chose to make them yellow, right? Because the default one doesn't change it for you, for instance, right? So anyways, so here you have like a bunch of different examples, right? So these are the two things that are critical. Change the color so that everything is as clear as possible. And like, it doesn't matter if your code ends up looking like a rainbow. It's better for it to look like a rainbow than all of it looks the exact same color. Like all of it is red or blue or white or whatever. And like you can't find yourself in your own code, right? And the other thing was the Visual Studio installer. Make sure to have the .NET and the game development with Unity. These, especially this, I'd say. These two, if you don't have them, but especially this, like it's just not gonna work, right? So, I think this here is a good part to end the stream. And tomorrow, I'm actually gonna start going into these scripts and I'm gonna explain to you every single thing, like what does this line mean? What does this line mean? What does this mean? What does that mean? How do these things all work together, right? How, once I've written code, does it work in Unity? You know what I mean? Like it's gonna be stuff like that, basically, right? So again, like today, I would say was the most important stream because I'm really just explaining to you guys like how, like what is Unity? How does it work? How does everything function, right? Like how do you create a script, etc., right? But again, it's like the most basic stuff. And like tomorrow, I'm gonna start with like a 15-30 minute recap, however long it lasts. I'm gonna recap everything I've explained, and then I'm gonna start showing you how to do stuff in Unity, basically. Working with Python without any options for color was definitely an interesting challenge. Exactly. Will you also, as you go on, show off any new thing or something neat you've learned, such just mastered, like tricks? Exactly. That's exactly what I'm gonna do. Good job on the stream. Yeah, thanks, guys. Like honestly, thanks to you. Like I'm shocked there are even 12 concurrent viewers, frankly, right? Like I was expecting to have like 0 viewers and to basically be talking like in the void. So the simple fact that I have like even a single viewer is like a miracle, right? From my point of view. So thank you guys a lot. And yeah, as I was saying, tomorrow I'm gonna recap what we did in this stream tomorrow at noon, and then I'm gonna start showing you guys how to do like really basic stuff, right? It's gonna be like hopefully it's not gonna be underwhelming, but it's really gonna be the most basic stuff, right? Like how to make a cube move in a direction, right? How to make something rotate, how to if we have time, I might start getting into detecting collisions and stuff, but even that, like maybe not, right? Like it's gonna be the really basic stuff. And then next weekend, so next Saturday and Sunday, that's when I'm gonna start actually like showing you guys how to do mechanics, right? Like, oh, let's make, like next Saturday, I think I'm gonna go with, let's make a player, like player controls, right? Like make a character that actually moves and responds to player, like WASD, spacebar to jump, stuff like that, right? Then on Sunday, we're gonna start doing like, okay, like let's make different enemies that move differently, right? Like we're gonna start doing more and more fancy stuff, right? But for now, today and tomorrow, it's gonna be really basic, right? Because let's just start basic, right? This was a great introduction. That would have been brutal if no one showed up. Are you gonna keep up these VODs? Yeah, like the goal is for the VODs to be up so that whenever someone like forgot something or you're not sure how something was done, you can always go back to the VOD. The reason why I'm doing them as live streams is because I want to be able to answer you guys' questions live, like as they happen, right? Now you would have had me at least. I really want to learn. Perfect. It was a good start. We'll catch on tomorrow then. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, so that's the idea. I'm probably gonna shut down the stream right now. You guys have a bit of a delay, so I'm gonna see you guys tomorrow at noon. Again, like I might be like 5 minutes late or whatever, like it's fine. But I'm gonna see you guys at like noon-ish. And yeah, thanks for coming. I hope this was useful to you guys. I hope you managed to learn something. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care, boys.